The big story this afternoon, another curious turn that's come in the transfer case of Haryana IAS officer Ashok Khemka. Ashok Khemka met the Chief Secretary just moments ago. When he came out of the meeting, he said he's completely satisfied with after that meeting with the Chief Secretary, and in fact the transfer that was ordered after he launched the probe into Vadra DLF deals was to grant him a promotion. So has Khemka actually cracked under pressure? That's the question we are asking. The stunning twist that has come in Khemka's case. He has said he was told that the decision was taken in administrative interest. He said he's fully satisfied with government's reply. Let's listen to Ashok Khemka after that meeting with the Chief Secretary.
मैं चीफ सेक्रेटरी के जवाब से पूर्ण रूप से संतुष्ट हूं। उन्होंने ये कहा कि ट्रांसफर प्रशासकीय हित में हुआ है और इसमें कोई बुरा आदेश नहीं है और मैं अपने चीफ सेक्रेटरी की बात को सहर्ष स्वीकार करता हूं।
तो ये पहले आपको नहीं लगा कि ट्रांसफर जो आपकी प्रशासकीय हित में उनके बाद देने से पहले
नहीं लगा था, तभी आशंका जताई थी।
My colleague Kamaljeet Sandhu now joins us from New Delhi. Also joining us from the newsroom, my colleague Gaurav Sawant. Gaurav, obvious question that's going to be asked now is where Khemka was under pressure, immense pressure that has been coming in, not just from the government, which seemed to be protecting, shielding Vadra here, but also from the IAS lobby in Haryana, with the DG Town Planning writing the letter to Chief Secretary talking about that how Ashok Khemka did not do his job right.
You're absolutely right. There are several unanswered questions here. Just earlier this week, Ashok Khemka was under pressure. Ashok Khemka went on record to say that he had been impaneled 10 times for promotion. Those 10 times, the promotion was denied to him. Just now, the moment after he orders an inquiry into Robert Vadra's land dealings in 4 districts of Haryana, he's immediately promoted and transferred, and now he says I'm satisfied. Is he being made to say that he's satisfied? The issues that have been raised by him, will they be addressed by the Haryana government in the right earnest? Because Khemka also says that these issues should be addressed in people's interest. Will that actually happen? That remains a question. Now, within days, of ordering an inquiry, Khemka from all sides, whether it's politicians or bureaucrats, they're coming around to say that, what Khemka ordered is bad in law. How is it bad in law? That they haven't explained.
And
Ruchika.
That's something that he has, in fact, said in that brief interaction with the media, that if the aggrieved party think that his order is incorrect, they can move court. So that's something that remains to be seen. The cancellation of the land mutation deal between DLF and Vadra, will his order be challenged? Will there be a writ petition that will now be filed to that order that was passed by Ashok Khemka? Kamaljeet Sandhu is also with us. Kamaljeet, what also makes this case very curious is that just 2 days ago, Ashok Khemka on national television had talked about that how this was a punishment transfer. Today, when he comes out of the meeting with the Chief Secretary, he says this transfer was for his promotion. So various questions that will be asked, and some of those will have to be directly answered by Ashok Khemka himself.
Well, there's definitely a U-turn as far as statement regarding his posting is concerned. What he's saying is that what the state government has also been saying, that he was posted out only because Punjab and Haryana court had an application by him that he wanted to be transferred out. Now, state government has acted only on that behalf. On October 1st, they did transfer him out. Now, they're saying on October 12th, he had rewritten a letter to the state government saying he doesn't want to be transferred out. Now, there is 2 parts to it. One, he's already saying that he's satisfied after meeting the Chief Secretary PK Chaudhary, and he's saying that he's okay with his posting. But second, he's also talked about his orders. He's saying he's satisfied with whatever orders he's given so far, and if there are any agreed party, including the state government, including his own department, they can approach the state government, the state court. So definitely there are 2 things that he's talking about. One, that he's satisfied with his posting that he'd been grieving about earlier, and the second about his orders, that he says he stands by whatever decision he's taken. He's saying even the companies who aggrieved in this particular case, the Skylight, which is Robert Vadra company, as well as DLF, has not gone back against him. So they're saying if the state government has any problem, if any of the department has any problem, they can always approach the court.
Right. Kamal, another interesting development, and Gaurav, I want your reaction on that. Headlines today has accessed the file notings, the documents that clearly establish that the two incidents are not unlinked, as the Haryana government is trying to project. The probe that was launched into Vadra DLF deal and the land mutation order that was cancelled and the transfer order that came. Remember, the Haryana government has been saying this is no punishment transfer. This, in fact, is a procedural thing and it should not be misconstrued as a punishment posting, punishment transfer. But these documents clearly nail Haryana government's lie because it shows that the transfer order came just 3 days after he ordered the cancellation of the mutation deal between the two parties.
Yes, and this is something that the Haryana government will have to come clean on. 8th, he ordered an inquiry when media reports came out about Robert Vadra's land deals in Haryana. He ordered an inquiry. As soon as he ordered an inquiry from these 4 districts of Haryana, initially he was not given information. When he sought all information in writing, he was transferred out. He had challenged his being transferred. He said, as per law, as per statutory law, he's supposed to be at one position for 2 years. And if he's done something wrong, he should be told what he's done, what wrong has he done. As far as that High Court directive to transfer him is concerned, he said that has nothing to do with his current posting. That was to do with his previous posting. It has nothing to do with the current case. In fact, on headlines today, when he broke down the pictures that our viewers are seeing, he told Headlines Today's Rahul Kanwal on center stage, should it be proved that he's been transferred out because of a High Court directive, he will resign from the Indian Administrative Service. So clearly, his resignation, his transfer had nothing to do with the High Court directive. He sticks to that stance of his. He was dissatisfied with his transfer at that point of time. Now he says, I'm transferred after meeting the Chief Secretary. The other point he had raised on Tuesday was, why am I being transferred and why is the Chief Secretary not giving me time?
Right.
4 days he wrote to the Chief Secretary, 4 days he waited for a response, and on 15th he ultimately handed over charge when the Chief Secretary did not respond to him but chose to respond on TV instead.
All right, Gaurav, stay with us. We also have India Against Corruption member Gaurav Bakshi now joining us on the phone line. Gaurav, your first reaction to this turnaround that's come from Ashok Khemka, who now says that he's completely satisfied with the transfer order that was meant for his promotion.
Well, I think we have seen for many years that anybody who chooses to stand up to the might of our government, anybody in power, is often faced with a lot of pressure and difficulties of various kinds. This is a clear sign that something of that nature has happened here too. We've just heard of the farmer who's connected to, whose land was allegedly given to Mr. Gadkari, has also disappeared. Such instances naturally, and we've also seen what happens to many whistleblowers in the past. Many have, unfortunately, lost their lives in their battles. Clearly the pressure is showing, is the first thought that comes to my mind.
Right. You think it's the pressure that's forced this U-turn on Ashok Khemka? Just 2 days ago, Gaurav, he had talked about that how this was a punishment transfer because he had opened the probe into the land dealings between Robert Vadra and DLF. Today, after the meeting with the Chief Secretary, he says this transfer was for his promotion, is completely satisfied. So you're saying we should not take this statement as at face value. This has to be because of the immense pressure that he's been under.
Absolutely. I think the pressure was visible on his face on television over the last few days. He said it himself too. Transfers, the discussion of transfers is absolutely clear. We all as citizens of India know in our own area, I live in Noida, and police, SSPs and SPs and the DMs are transferred left, right and center every few months, which is completely, this is not the only instance where a public servant has been transferred 43 times in 21 years. If we dig in, I am sure we'll find hundreds and thousands of such examples across the nation. So yes, it is absolutely the pressure. I cannot imagine it to be anything else, considering these are two contradictory statements Mr. Khemka is now making over the last 2 to 3 days.
What exactly explains this turnaround, Gaurav? Because this would be baffling for many who saw this honest, upright officer who was doing his job. He broke down, on TV shows, and then he talked about that he is willing to resign from IAS services if it's found that he was up to some sort of a wrong. He stood up to the system. Just 2 days later, as he was questioning his transfer, the stunning turnaround that's come from him.
Well, is it stunning? I don't know about that, because ultimately we're all here to live in this society, which is clearly and definitely in the hands of those in power. The entire system can be utilized by those in power to go against the average citizen. So it is a form of fear. We have a law minister making statements threatening on television prominent individuals like Mr. Kejriwal. This is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you have someone like him, who's a prominent face, being threatened on national TV, and nobody reacts, or rather the reaction is limited. So, I mean, an officer like Mr. Khemka, I don't blame him. After all, he has a family, he has children. I'm sure, there's a lot of strain that must be going through the entire family currently.
Gaurav Bakshi, member IC, thank you very much for joining us with your reaction. So India Against Corruption saying this is a clear case of pressure getting to the honest, upright officer, which is why this turnaround. Haryana Chief Minister Bhupinder Singh Huda's lies were nailed as headlines today access the key documents, the file notings that corroborates IAS officer Ashok Khemka's charge that he was transferred because of a probe that he had ordered into Robert Vadra's land deals. The official notings that are with headlines today reveal that Khemka had sought the sale deed and mutation records that were relating to a deal involving Robert Vadra on October 8th. That is 3 days before his transfer orders were served to him. Now, these notings also reveal that the documents were made available to Khemka from the Gurgaon district officials on October 11th. The same day, in fact, in the evening, transfer orders were served to Khemka at 10 in the night. The Haryana government has so far maintained that his transfer was not linked to him ordering a probe against Vadra. In fact, Huda had accused Khemka of ordering a probe even after receiving his transfer orders. Perhaps Khemka wanted to know more than what he should have asked. He wanted to know the content of Vadra's first application on which he got license to develop housing colony on land in question. He also had questions on the content of Vadra's second application that was filed, which Haryana government on which Haryana government later renewed its license. Khemka wanted information on law under which state government allowed Vadra to trade in the license along with the sale of land. So those were some of the questions that Khemka had raised when he was served that transfer order. He had raised the issue of his transfer by the Haryana government, but 2 days later, there's been a stunning turnaround by the IAS officer, who now says he's satisfied with the Chief Secretary's response. My colleague Gaurav Sawant still with us. Gaurav, many would say it's hardly a surprise as you are hearing from members of India Against Corruption who say that there has been a concerted effort, concerted attempt to discredit the officer, not just from the politicians, from the government who appear to be shielding Robert Vadra in this case, but also from the IAS lobby, as we saw the letter that came from the DG Town Planning against Khemka.
Indeed, because the question that the DG Town Planning also needs to explain, according to several IAS officers in the state and former IAS officers, is how is it that Robert Vadra was given this land and mutation done in such a short span of time? Again, as you were rightly pointing out with those dates that our sources have given us in Haryana, 8th is when Khemka asked for details. 11th is when details were given to him. 11th night, 10 p.m. he's transferred. And then when he cancels the mutation, the Haryana government initially came out and said that it's bad in law because he issued this order once he'd already been transferred. Now Khemka is saying that I'm in my seat till the next person takes over. That did not happen till the 15th. He waited for the Chief Secretary's response. He made a representation. He made a representation to the Chief Secretary in writing. On the 11th, till the 15th, he did not get a response. So in the meantime, does the Haryana government mean that there will be no work that will be done in that department? He says as far as law is concerned, as far as work rules are concerned, till the time he hands over charge, he is the man in charge and he'll continue to do his job, which several former bureaucrats have also said is good in law.
But you know, the most interesting thing in that brief interaction that he had with the media for me was the fact that though he did maintain that the chat that he had with the Chief Secretary was privileged, and he did say that he's satisfied with the response that he has got. His promotion, his transfer was for promotion, but he also did mention that there are obvious red herrings and we've got to look for that. So that perhaps answers a lot of questions there. Gaurav Sawant, for the moment, let's leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us. Also, thank you, Kamaljeet, for bringing us the latest on these developments.